Rustus and Annice and the Tiny Robots, Part 4. There you go, 4. So Rustus, Annice, and Feisty, as well as Do, Ray, and me, the Yellops, were in Yellop Forest and had just met the leader of the Tiny Robots, who had told them that they were there to steal the moon. And if you remember, back in Yell War, Princess Nafta, along with her friend Princess Araul, had stopped the Tiny Robots by showing them that the moon was not made of rock. It was not made of cheese, but was made of rocks. However, in La La Land, the moon really was made of cheese. So there was a real danger that the Tiny Robots would steal the moon. And without the moon, there would be no light at night. It would be very, very black. And it would affect the waves in the ocean and all sorts of things. So they really needed the moon. So they had to figure out a way to stop the Tiny Robots. So the first thing they did was they asked the Gollywomp Sneevil for help. They walked into the cave of the Gollywomp Sneevil, and he said, "I am the Gollywomp Sneevil!" And he tickled them. So, because as you'll remember, the crayon trees that the Gollywomp Sneevil grew fed on the laughter of people. But after he had tickled them, they explained their problem. They said, "Mr. Gollywomp Sneevil, sir, the Tiny Robots are going to steal the moon to get some cheese, and we don't know how to stop him." Said the Gollywomp Sneevil. "This is something that you need to figure out the solution for on your own." "Wait," said Rustus. "What? Can you please use your rainbow crayon to draw some cheese? Maybe that will satisfy them." "Well, I can try," said the Gollywomp Sneevil. And he took out a rainbow crayon, and he drew some cheese. And it was pretty good cheese. It wasn't just cheddar or even fresh mozzarella, which is pretty good. He drew some feta cheese, and he drew some brie, and he drew a delicious cheese from France called Caprice de Dieu. And they brought all that cheese to the Tiny Robots and said, "We will give you this delicious cheese if you promise not to steal the moon." And the Tiny Robots said, "No, we will still go to the moon, but we will take your cheese too." And they snatched the cheese out of Rustus's hands, well, his hooves, and they ran away with it. But as they ran away, Do, Ray, and me followed them to see where they went. And they followed them into a cave where they were hiding. And they saw that there were hundreds of Tiny Robots, but they were all plugged into the wall, charging. So they went back to where Rustus and Annice and Feisty were, and they told them what they had seen. Do, Ray, and me told them that the Tiny Robots were charging to get more energy. "Wait a minute," said Feisty. "That means if we can stop them from charging, they'll run out of batteries. Maybe that's how we could win this and get them to not steal the moon." So they decided that that's what they had to do. And they decided that they would do it by challenging them to a game of baseball. So Do, Ray, and me went back to the cave where the Tiny Robots were, and they said, "Tiny Robots, we want to challenge you to a game of baseball." "What is baseball?" said the leader of the Tiny Robots. "What is baseball?" said Do. "It's the best game in the world. I bet you're too scared to play us." Now, the Tiny Robots did not like it when people said they were too scared. "No, we are not too scared. We will play you. All of us." So the hundreds of Tiny Robots went to the baseball diamond, and Do, Ray, and me, and Rustus, and Annice, and Feisty were there. And Dr. the rabbit was the referee, the umpire. And they played, and they played, and they played. Now, the Tiny Robots weren't that good. And so Rustus and Annice and Feisty and Do, Ray, and me played just enough to keep the game tied. And even after 9 innings, the game was still tied 3-3. So they kept playing, and whenever the tiny robots would score a run, Rustus or Annice or Feisty, or once in a while, Do, Ray, and me would score one too, and the game went on and on for hours. They made it to 10 innings, 11, 12, 13, and they kept going well into the night. And pretty soon they started to see that the tiny robots were getting more tired and tired and tired, and were slowing down. And finally, after the 18th inning, the tiny robots all went and turned off because they were out of power. So, quickly, Rustus and Annice and Feisty and Do, Ray, and me, one by one, took the tiny robots to Buffalorca Beach. And on Buffalorca Beach, they put them in a boat, and they rowed the boat out to the island where the Gollywump Sneevil had once been kept in a cage. And they put all the tiny robots in the cage. And they left them there, so that if they ever got power again, they would be locked in the cage and would not be able to steal the moon. And so that's how Rustus and Annice and Feisty, with the help of Do, Ray, and me, the Yellops, were able to stop the tiny robots from stealing the moon. And that's the end of Rustus and Annice and the tiny robots.